you.
So I wanted to allow here to do a brief. Sorry,
I'll
so
do my best, David.
presentation.
I see you looking stern, I know about.
Apparently I smell, so I just come up with couple of trails, and yeah, then we'll go into our closed meeting. So just running through our agenda, apologies. So we've got apologies minute from Warren, and also Derek and Lady Rose. No other apologies to submit. Okay, so we'll minute those. We'll just pass everything unanimously. That's right. Declaration of trustee and CEO interests. Are there any amendments to those?
I did see no amendments. Yeah.
Yeah, someone to add from no other amendments?
ECCT, is it
No.
Eastland?
No, it's Esmond and Tom Thomason Charitable Trust Trustee Limited. It's a trustee company set up. But I'm still the accountant in the room. But,
Yeah.
Get around some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, just start using it. Okay, so confirmation of agenda, nothing to add here. Approval of the open minutes from the 10th of December 2024. Take them as being read. Any amendments to those or any changes that are needed later? Okay. We'll move and second those. Yeah, can I get a mover in a second for those? Yeah. Okay, we've got John and Rahet, please. All those in favour?
No.
Anything on the action register there? Go.
No, I think we had Winston Morton, we had that conversation in December. He was happy then. He's probably starting to stir a little bit again, so we should expect him to come in another conversation soon. It's just, yeah. And the other action with Warren, we haven't had a chance to catch up with him yet, just to talk about digital strategy and so yeah, that's still be done. Okay.
Nothing on strategy and decision making in here. And then we move into Kyle's presentation. Open the floor to you, Lyle.
Thank you.
Welcome.
If I go to, I said, if that's all right, and I'll operate the technology, which Mel's improved already. Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here. The trust had our trust had a long association under different umbrellas with Trust Tairāwhiti, and there's a bit later on where you helped us fund something just recently. But I'm chairman of this trust called Tairāwhiti Tairāwhiti Trails Trust. It used to be the Brisbane Cycle Walkway Trust. And this is about the Tairāwhiti Trail, which is a new piece of infrastructure. The idea's been around since the 1960s, but we're getting much closer, I hope. And I'll just hopefully use the technology. That one, Mel. That's it. Tairāwhiti simply means trails. And it's quite fitting because it talks about leaving no footprints behind. There are little subtle bits of infrastructure that exists, and some are different from others. And this particular one is very infrastructural compared to others. So I'm going to talk about the potential of the Tairāwhiti Trail, the benefits basically, because that's the main thing that anyone is interested in, and the process it's going through and what I'm looking for, if I can, from this relationship. And so I'm going to talk about the Onarua walkway first, and the reason is this feeds into this trail, but it also gives you a bit of understanding of what the trail might look like. And hopefully this will work. I'll go in the middle here now. Press that. That's where the existing infrastructure is. Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot of planting. We need to go to trees in preparation for. Sometimes you need the morning have pretty yes, don't we?
Mm.
That's the old Nelson Road beach. And all the growth that can probably happen to this side of town because it's their land. Due to and this. I'm just going to go to a graphic right at the very end. All right. So that's the bit we're interested in here that I'm going to talk about today. This is existing infrastructure. Gisborne District Council's got invested 250,000, 250 Ks of pedestrian work, but very little of it's what we call a shared path. So there's about 10K, less than 10K of shared path. This would add 4.5 to it, and you see this bit over here. That's really the whole vision, is to actually create a total loop around town of this shared path, so that your tourists could come go around. But this is a people's path, and I'll explain why. The existing bit, which is where we started, is this bit here, the Onirua and Rivers Trail, and these are other bits, and that's actually going to be quite a connecting feature in the future. And this is the Wainui Walkway, which brings people from the east into town. So how do I go? I'll just go right. So Onirua has been really successful, extremely successful, and it's been probably a planner's dream, to be honest. This area used to be very industrial with waddies, and that's, I think, if you remember, then when waddies withdrew in the 90s, town planners had a lot of work and a lot of history, and they've really developed it. And it had a lot of opposition when we've talked about this in the past, but people would not be opposition to it now. But I just want to give, this is some money you gave us recently last year, and we put in place a trail counter. So this gives you this data is from the 14th of December, late in the afternoon. It's pretty current. This was till Sunday night. There was near enough to 86 passes of a counter, which is by slightly into beyond Waikanae going towards Midway. Most of those people are pedestrian or runners, so it's really important this is not a cycle trail. 23% if it gets wet, that figure, cyclists are fair weather, that really drops off. And yeah, this is the other thing. That's looking at data on a daily basis. The blue line is really the totals. The other stuff we can tell what direction, what type of person they were in terms of cyclists or not. And you can see there's lots of peaks and troughs. The peak day was actually Waitangi Day. That's the most we've ever had, so quite surprising. You'd expect that to be over Christmas when we had visitors. But we had lousy weather for the visitors, if you remember. And those troughs there are storms, and we've had a lot of them. So we had pretty lousy Christmas in December. But it's got quite good, and this morning was 1390 or something. So the average is about 980 passes a day. So it's busy, it's really successful. Why is it so successful? It's passed through a pretty nice part of town. You know, people like to go to the beach and they like to be out in a nice environment. But a biggie is it's safe. That is really safe. There's no roads to cross, you go under bridges. So, and there's a direct correlation. If you look around everywhere in New Zealand or worldwide, if people feel safe, they recreate. But it is a recreation. That's all its function is. Very little people go to work, go to shop, anything like that. People actually go there to do this. And it's a shared path with a really solid surface, which is wide enough to do both directions. And 3 metres is a sort of the standard minimum that you have for this sort of thing, compared to a pedestrian path, which would not be half that at most. We think the Tairāwhiti Trail is that trail on steroids, and it's because of the functionality of it. It's what you can do there. So you can recreate, but you can do a whole lot of other things to live your daily life for the people of Gisborne. The Tairāwhiti Trail, no matter where we actually put it, close to the river, will be beautiful. And it's pretty flat, most of it, so it continues that. And where it's not, we hope to make it flat so that everyone can enjoy it. That's people in mobility, scooters, the whole works. And it runs right through the centre of the community. So the centre of the community that it runs through, within 1.5 k's, you've got 23,600 people. That's the last census, live within 1.5 k's. So a 5-minute bike ride or a 20-minute walk within it. And that's excluding the people that live further out that will still use it and from both sides. So it's got huge potential to change the dial for activity. And that's what drives particularly me. We have become so sedentary that we're getting things that are going wrong in our bodies and our performance and academically too because of it. So how do we use these trails to learn? Interestingly, you can learn just by doing trails. If you think about applied looking, and kids are doing that now from the intermediate schools particularly. They're going there and observing stuff and talking about it as part of not a cycle trail as such or anything like that. It's actually saying, this is shipping, this is water, this is engineering, this is history, all those sort of things. But all our high schools are on the west side of Gisborne. They're all confined really in the midpoint or to the other side. So for those that live out to the east like I do, it's actually a long way. So this is a way of being able to people to use their legs and that sort of thing to get there safely and to get that oxygen that they need for their brain. And when they do that, they perform better. And there's a lot of evidence around that. It's also, and this is where Waka Kotahi, when they do all the numbers relating to this sort of thing, and they used to because they don't fund this stuff anymore, but what they used to is all the analysis in terms of benefits were really on the health side. So all the healthy things that you get from activity. And on the even on a very expensive proposition, the discounted cash flow analysis was at least just on health was double the cost over the lifetime, including maintenance. So that was on the worst case scenario. That's not that high. We think we can do way, way better. And that's without looking at education and all the other benefits that you would get. There are people that use those, by the way, to go down Ormond Road to the hospital. Really unsafe. Older people are doing that. That's how unsafe it is. And there's a lot more of us are going to be on that. Some in this room at one day, probably. I know I probably will be.
No.
Shopping, you can just live your daily life. You can use this. That community can go shopping to and from. Obviously, there's a huge amount of playgrounds and facilities along that pathway and going to and from work. So it's very functional. This one's not talked about a lot, but it is, to me, it's really important. And I've gathered a lot about this. It's about connection. So not only connecting communities, but actually people. So when we're in our car going somewhere, we're listening to the radio or fested in our own thoughts and are not connecting. And we've become very disconnected community because of the obsession with not actually joining up with people. And young ones in particular are obsessed with their phones, and they all get delivered to school. So 6% of our high school kids, and that's an old statistic, it'd be worse today, that's about 3 years ago, were going to school cycling. You and I, for most of us that bike to school, it was by far the majority. That doesn't exist anymore. And we're missing out, and their performance is missing out. And we think we can change that through getting activity in that way. This is your muka underneath your framework, which Phil and I talked about this morning. I actually think about much more than I ever used to. And I'm not going to tell you about that, you know about it. But I think this thing scores, on my own view, scores really highly for a lot of these environment, carbon, all those sort of things, although using concrete, as we know, has some issues. But I just want to talk about the connection to the economy, because I'm an accountant, so I think about money all the time. And let's just think about kids, which were not measured by Waka Kotahi. And if we can change the dial for a good proportion of kids by getting them active, they will make more money over their lifetime. We know that. But what happens to the total economy is they pay more tax, don't they? So the economy, instead of people possibly being on social welfare or on benefits, they become a contributor. That is enormous. Waka Kotahi didn't even look at that. They didn't look at this, the other things that we've got there that are really important to this group of people in your wellbeing framework. They didn't even look at that. So, and I think that's the biggest change for all of us. So this is a community trail, goes right through the centre of this large group of people, and it's really, if you go to the doctor, for 9 times out of 10, particularly as us get older, they say you need to be more active. And our young people are not. I'm on a sports trust. I can tell you the stats back that up. They drop off a cliff. It's not like it used to be. We are couch potatoes compared to what we used to be. And it's scary. So that's our proposal. It's one of, we've added this to the proposal. There are 5 proposals now, including this one, that we're analysing. There's a steering group that we put together with some council representatives, with some trustees, with mana whenua, and with some advisors that we're calling in from time to time, people like engineers, those sort of things. We're trying not to spend any money. So there's been reports for Africa done on this. And so we're saying, keep the money that you've got in TAC Council, 2.5 million they put aside, most ever for one of these projects that I'm aware of. Don't spend that on any more consultants. Let's get some, we've got all the reports we need. There is some costings that we're having done, so that we need to spend some money there, but we're trying to get it to a point where we can actually say, this is the preferred option, this is why, and let's get it going because of the benefit case. Because the longer we don't do these things, our community don't go forward in all these different ways.
Well, sorry, the green bits, that some of that's part of the crimson existing.
Yeah, so some of those there are cycles for cyclists.
The green bits are not part of your proposal.
No, it's the blue. It's blue bit.
Only the blue.
Yeah.
The green bits are just marking.
They're markings of, so that's an existing part there, and there are some on this, but if you look on Ormond Road, you will actually see a cycle lane.
So they're marking current cycleways.
Yes, yeah. But they're not safe. You don't get
They're
big
not safe.
numbers.
Okay.
So just, and this is, I've learned a lot through this journey. I've only been on for 2 or 3 years. The science is that some people will bike anywhere regardless. They're not worried about their safety, and some have accidents, some don't. They're generally cyclists. That's about 13 or 15%. I forget what the number is. It's really low. Most people don't exercise unless they feel safe. So I'm very defensive these days, and I go really in the morning when no one's around, or places where no one goes. But that's why Wanneroo is successful. They go there because it's safe. They don't get run over, and the stats, particularly for cyclists, when you get run over, are not that great. So this is that line's not right for 1.5 k's, but down here where this is a successful trail, no one lives. No one. it's out to sea. And the other side's more industrial commercial. So you can see the potential of the numbers, and these numbers are much better than an analysis that we've got from the counter, are much better than what Katahi was using. So it's been really encouraging for our case. We haven't gone through a winter though.
Well, sorry, Mark.
Yeah.
Do you have estimates around the population of the proposed, from basically Mitre 10 and around to Nelson Park? I mean, it's quite a big catchment.
Yeah, it's huge. Well, as I said, between where the path we're looking to put it is with 1.5K, there's 23,600 people.
Yeah,
That's census data. That was put together by the last report.
Lyle, if I might add
Sure,
something,
sure.
when we had initial thoughts, because this has been in the pipeline forever.
Ever.
Way back, all high schools were built on one side of town. So Lethan, Boys High, Campion, everything was on
IT.
that side. So there was definitely the case that we had with Whakapotahi as well, was to have it an off-road safe space for kids from Kaiti, from Whataupoko, those areas, to be able to cycle off-road to get to school as well. So that was a main driver behind it too, aside from the recreational benefits.
The busiest places in town are outside the schools with kids being dropped off and picked up. Now, we have some challenges along here with the trail, and they're really around the Roebuck Road site, because there's 15,000 passes of that every day. It's a really busy road. And Lytton Road, I don't have the number, but it's less than that, but it's equally busy. So we have some challenges there, and we're trying to go underneath or through. But that part of this trail is expensive because of that. But once you can do that, you get people. I actually had to cross Roebuck Road yesterday, and they've got some roadworks there. It took me about 15 minutes to find, from my wife and I, to safely get across a little street. And it was busy time, it was 11:30 or something. So that shows you how busy some of those streets are, and they're unsafe for kids particularly, and also for older people.
Lyle, have you got any access issues? You talk about council land, EIT land, all that sort of stuff. Is there a bit of private land in there somewhere?
Yes, there is. There's a
Might
bit of
take
development. So no, we're all good. The only area that we've got a problem at the moment, which we've got to work around if we had to, is we have to finalise the arrangements at EIT, so we're having discussions with them. They're really in favour locally, and it sounds promising, but we haven't had those discussions. So we'd have to have an easement through there. All of the three main proposals really are around, are around going down here because it's quiet. It'll be low cost to do it once we get onto Tairāwhiti. It's also much more environmentally friendly. You'll never flood for 99% of it. So this is expensive, and you could talk a question about access. So just here, we hope to go over a piece of. Sorry, I need to get my right bearings. This is Stanley Road.
Yeah.
So you have to go over a piece of land here. So this shows actually a diversion on the streets. What we'd like to do is go through there. That land's subject to a consent at the moment by a developer. I think the developer wants to build it for Kaingaroa housing. So Kaingaroa's got the thumb on all that at the moment. But if that went ahead, we think that land will become accessible to it as a resource consent change. And we'll have access, but it'll be quite expensive to go across there because the only way we can do it is a bit of boardwalk for some of it, which is expensive, but it will be fabulous.
You have to set aside Esplanade Reserve.
What parts are floodprone, anything?
Yeah, so there is a few, but they're relatively minor. So in terms of, going back to the original design, am I okay to talk about the number that came out?
Yeah. Because it was in the river. It was a boardwalk in the riverbed before we knew of cyclones.
So this, from here to, it's actually Mitre 10, from here through to here was going to be on the river. So it would have all flooded. Very high cost, obviously subject to maintenance. It actually would have been an obstruction to view, because it would be monstrous because it has to be lifted up. So it had lots of issues, and also mothers with kids with places where they can't get off aren't that keen on stuff like that. So a whole lot of issues. But it would have been adventure tourism type stuff, would have been great for that, but somebody has to pay for it, horrendously expensive. So by taking this off and putting in as something that's more sustainable from a flooding perspective and low risk and cheaper to do, we've been able to, that's been in our design, particularly is to bring it back here. So that would be, and apart from having all the deal with the residents through this, you can behead that quite a lot in terms of discussions. But this year, our plan is to do a separated bike lane like we've got over here in behind the line. Yeah, Corporate Road. Really, I do it all the time. It's fabulous, and walkers use it, mobility scooters use it. So it's separated from the road, and a little bit here along the street. All the rest is way away from traffic. At the moment we're looking going underneath that bridge, so that area will occasionally get wet, but not that often, believe it or not. So I was talking to yesterday to the guy who owns the land just there, looking at it, Ron. So you know this area well. You used to live there. Ron lived over here. Looking under there, he said that where we were going to put it. He said that just got to there during Gabriel, and he's been through Gabriel and Hale, and Gabriel was the worst. And that was a river that, remember, was blocked because of this bridge blocking and then dominating the Tairāwhiti as a drain.
Well, you'd about a fair bit of this Tairāwhiti one from Gladstone Road around, would have been underwater too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so, well, some of the existing path floods now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Look at the cyclists now.
Hey, Lyle,
It's just going to be.
question not
Mind
meant
that
the
too.
direction of what
Sure,
you're
sure,
doing,
yeah.
but just because we build it doesn't mean the kids are going to use it.
Well,
my call out
No,
is
no.
how do we actually then get the kids using it?
yeah, so it's actually really true. So there are, I call this the hardware. The software is the change management part of that.
Yeah.
So there are a whole lot of change management programs around and in place at the moment. Wednesday Challenge is an example of that, which you guys help contribute to. Enormously, do you know about Wednesday Challenge? Wednesday Challenge is a situation where in schools on a Wednesday, the kids try and go on their own feet or bike instead of being delivered. Kids love it. They lead the parents. They want to do that. And why? When you ask them the question, because I'm with my mates. But they and Betty Jean, is it, from Kaiti School? She's marvellous at this, and they have changed those kids. They are calmer to teach, and it's going in. So getting the benefit.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Exactly. I don't want to get into some things that's a paid sort of thing. I want to actually get the community to do that sort of thing. So and Kaiti's got that really working well. So we need to get the community to drive those through the school. So there's a whole lot of change management stuff that has to work in as part of that, and we think we can do that. So it is build and they'll come, and change management needs by a whole series.
So is that going to be the next request sort of stuff?
No, I don't think we need to spend a lot of money on change management. It's actually, Gisborne's got a lot of various charities and groups, community groups. It's actually getting them together because this has been seen to be so successful. Yeah.
And that's going to go, I mean, that's probably going to go near a few schools anyway, who might then start utilising it. So, you know,
Yeah, the high schools are hard, excuse me, I can't say some things on public, but they are hard work to actually to change. They've got so many other things on the go. Those people are busy trying to run schools, and there will be change needed in high schools. So bike racks aren't around anymore.
That's what I was going to say, actually.
No,
I'm
can't do anything
very
about
familiar with
bike.
those NZTA stats on why people cycle and why they don't,
Yeah.
mainly why they don't. But I've even been given presentations on their survey methodology, and they don't go to the detail of asking people about bikes being stolen. And so they know that's a shortcoming, that they don't ask anybody. There's a lot of people who don't cycle because they're worried their bikes are going to get nicked.
Absolutely, it's that, and that's very true. So we would hope to provide locks and all, and a lot of Gisborne people actually have about 4 bikes in the backyard never been used. So there's bikes in schools. There are containers load around the schools, and kids used to lose it at home. Now they go to school and learn how to ride a bike. So it's a totally different society, and we're not necessarily talking all biking. So look, this goes through communities. So as we saw from that one, 75, 25 or less, but the longer distance ones work. So there's a whole lot of stuff that need to be built into that, and that's part of this. I'll call it software if you know what I mean. But I don't expect that to be expensive because the community can do that. And I want to challenge the community, particularly in this area. So we can't do much. If people want to lend us their tractors, people want to lend us some metal and stuff. There's actually quite a lot of public goodwill that we can drive down the cost of the construction of this, but we need a lot of help too. And that's come out of, I'll just tell a story. I'm going to go on, sorry.
We're gonna have to pull you up.
A lady I went to see because I wanted to knock and work on it. She said, you know, at the end of it, she said, how can I help you? This is a married lady, 32, who lived right next to it. And she said that there is a lot of goodwill. So where are we at the moment? We're basically, council's got 2.5. We're working on this feasibility study. We're still getting information. There's no cost for this. We're getting, like, where are flood levels, for instance? Where are they? Where has that all been settled with allowances? I think we know, but we need the official information. We're getting all that together. We're having something costed out, the design that we've done, which I think I know what it costs, but we're getting it checked. Because that's the thing that blew council out, and they got this thing for 30 million near enough, when their expectation was 7. It was a pretty hard hit. That happened at the same time that all these cyclones hit. So council just didn't have any resource to even think about it. So we've picked it up. We want to get it going. And in their 3-year plan, they've committed $2.5 million, which is the most they have for ages. So there's a really good kickstart. And we're trying to keep that powder dry so it can build something, not pay more consultants. So coming to the hard question, what do we want? We obviously want money at some point. But we also want to work in a relationship. You guys are really well connected in the community, and that's with other funders. So we want to get other funders to come to the table as much as what they can. That's not just local funders, that's external. We don't think the government's up for much, and I don't think, no, I'm an economist in my background. I don't think they're up for much for some time, no matter who's in power. So if we can't do it as a community, we're not going to get these benefits, which are enormous. So we want to get some help to work with the relationships. It's really leverage all the relationships that we've got with all these community groups, not only funders, but all the parties, and also in the consultation stage. This thing's been consulted on before, but it was consulted on a river-based project. And then once the decision is made, so council hopefully will be given some information to actually say, this is the analysis, this is the pluses and minuses, this is our recommendation. And if that goes ahead, then the actual build will be about 18 months or 12 months out from there, because you actually have to then go into actually the detailed design, work on it, and there will be some money obviously built in. We are in a less inflationary environment, and people who do this stuff haven't got a lot of work right now, so we might be in a slightly better window. And I can tell you, we are miserly with money. So that video still costs nothing. We just don't spend anything. So we're trying to do it really, get the right answer, but do it without any more consultants. So that's it.
How much?
My guess is up to 12, but I'm hoping if we can get something less. So 30 was the big project. And in that, getting just to that first bridge was about 9. So we think we can possibly get maybe 10. There's lots of plan Bs, but plan Bs are compromises. So plan B is you build some of it down one end, for instance, out of a lesser material, and you just get it there and get it started. Plan B is sometimes you don't put lights in, you don't put any signage, but there are huge compromises from where it could be. The sooner you get it done and do it right, for all time, the better.
And sponsorship, people love stuff like that. Say, Leader Rain might say, we'll sponsor that 100 meters. And someone, I know that when that bike track was built, people like that where there can be a brick or something, and they're saying they sponsored it. So there's also huge opportunity with something that's like that.
Yeah, we've got family bike pumps that we paid for sitting there that people can use.
Yeah.
People love
People
stuff like
fighting
that.
over the opportunity to pay for it.
Yeah.
So Lyle, you're talking 18 and another 12, so sort of 4 or 5 years away, can't we make it happen?
Oh, no, I'm talking building 18 months from now.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, sorry,
Yeah.
I thought you were saying you've
No.
got another 12 to 18 months of
DD and then
No,
then you
DD,
present to the council and then there's another 12 months of lead
No.
and engineering and then you'll be building.
yeah, no, Dan, I share frustration with how long things take. So I'd hope to have actually completed DD now. It just takes longer than you think. But council have been good, and they've got a new guy in council dedicated to helping us, not full time, but that's been great to just extract all the information that sits there. So, and we want to come back to council with a really good, clear recommendation that says this is why. So, and also it's not going to be funded by Waka Kotahi, I can tell you that now. So there may be a long stretch if you think it's a good enough project to try and nudge government, but I don't think the coffers are there for that.
You won't get.
No. So really it's up to the community, and we need to focus everything on how the community can do it.
And with these projects, the more effort you put into the upfront, even though it takes a bit longer, the more accurate the costings, and it
Absolutely.
just pays off in spades.
Yeah. So we're doing a lot of ground, particularly in terms of costing. So we've challenged everything. We said, how does that come to this number? And that's the bit of work that's literally another lettuce going off to do some more on
Does
that.
there need some funding to get that done quicker, rather than relying on a whole lot of people doing it pro bono in their weekends and that, if you.
So we are going to pay for that. So that
You are,
I've got frustrated that the pro bono stuff I just couldn't pull off. I was really trying to pull every lever.
Yeah.
So we made a decision late last year that we're going to pay for it. We've got a small amount of resource that's left, but I'm keen to use that as a priority without tapping you guys for more consultants. We could have to come back to you, or we could go to council into that. So I'm trying to keep that as dry as I can. But you're absolutely right. There is a point we can't. The detailed design we obviously can't. But there's a lot of work being done.
It's a big project, city benefit, no reason.
Yeah.
People should be. You got the hump.
Yeah, I was, to be honest, I resisted it for so long, but I've got to a point where I can't resist it any longer. I needed some help for some things we can't do.
Well, you won't be able to use it on your bike, not your mobility scooter, eh?
I did, that was me biking, waving to
Your bike, is that because your bike days are gone, John?
No, because that trust I was talking about before, if you want a mobility scooter, that's what we specialise in. We own a whole lot of programs down.
No, you can't put your tractor down it either.
No. Oh, look, this one here is great, you know, we've done that a lot, you know,
Yeah.
you go one end, other end, round, there's no
So
one.
just as we speak, just across there, where the railway was, that was broken for quite some time. People could not, mobility scooters, work their way through there. So, you know, you build something solid. I don't want to be negative, but because they've done a great job in Uawa, but that's not a solid surface. So that's going to have maintenance forever. Spraying every year, all those sort of things. You do this, you reduce the maintenance amazingly. So, and if you can get the people behind it, and that's the big thing, that's what we're trying to do. I've talked enough, David.
Sorry, yeah, we
Yeah.
went from 15 to 40.
It was
With question time. So,
Have you not met Lyle?
Yeah, that's how I operate.
I was there for half an hour, 2 hours later, I had to apologize.
Can I just put my hand up and shout out to someone with passion?
Yeah.
And that's why he's gone over his time. You don't get
No,
to
no,
do
no.
this shit without doing that, so well done.
No,
I know what it takes
Oh, yeah.
to get to where you've done,
Yeah, thank you.
so I'm not making a decision for the board, but well done.
We've got some really good people in our trust, by the way, that work really hard in the background.
Who are they?
Well, the two I'm talking about are Sheridan Gundry. You know, Sheridan, she
Yep.
gets things done. And I'm going to have a senior moment in smoke comparison. And so that's why I brought this, because I do this more often than I used to. Gillian Ward, so somebody who works really hard in the background. But all the trustees contribute in different ways, and you know, well, no one, we just don't spend money. Okay.
Well done, Lion.
Yeah, well done.
I'll leave you to it. There's copies there of my presentation if you want to make some notes on those. And yeah, we're not looking for money now, but we are looking.
Thanks, Lyle.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for coming in.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry to go over time, David.
No, you're all right.
We used to do that when you're on.
I was so great.
Yeah, that's fine.
My reputation precedes me.
Yeah.
I'll keep them really short and bullet points. Appreciate it, Lyle.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Thanks, Lyle.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
There's a bikes in school thing, isn't there, that we used to support, but have bikes in.
All the primary schools have a little track and they're
Yeah.
playing with bikes and they
Oh,
use
that's
the
good.
little one.
You probably don't need to support it anymore because it's so.
Yeah, no, it's.
Was once off, yeah,
Over
5 years.
but we couldn't help but comment on Ormond Road this morning driving, and I think there were 6 or 7 buses heading out that way, one after the bloody other. Take kids back that way, you probably bring them this way and take them back that way. But would you bike on Ormond Road at 8 o'clock in the morning? Jesus.
No.
You know,
I
this
pray
is,
for the
this is
people
half
as
of
they
it,
pass
is
them.
The safety thing is
With the
true.
cars parked up,
Well, when you
Yeah.
look at the path out at Wainui, Okatu, not Okatu, Sponge Bay, that's used. Yeah, it's all school kids just riding on there and by themselves a lot of times because parents feel safe. Would never let them on a bloody 60, 70
I think it's a
km/h road.
socio-economic question here too, right? So, I mean, the practice of driving your kids to school when the fuel price is where it's currently sitting is a luxury for most people that live like in the lower socio.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when we were kids, the reason we biked to school because it was expensive. So you got on your bike and you biked for half an hour to get to school. It didn't matter, and you biked home. I didn't give a crap. So it's just that it's become a little bit more convenient to, well, and not having that access to
This
that.
wasn't the done thing either. When I,
No, it's just
bike.
Yeah.
we didn't even wear helmets in Africa. We were just, oh yeah,
Rebel.
rebel.
Outpointing.
We're thinking that needs to be division into the community spend fund.
We'll leave management to discuss that.
yeah, so that project's part of the 900 mil of projects that we are considering. So it's been in there for a while. It's just we'll let the communities team work with them around anything else. So yeah, we've got a pretty.
You've been aware of it, though.
Hey?
You've been aware.
We've been aware of it for years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we just thought they were at a point where they were sort of getting a bit of traction, so it's time just to come and share with you guys.
Lyle came and saw me just after the AGM turned did that presentation with it already, but that's me, so I know about this.
Oh, he talked about when he was on the trust too.
Are we still online?
Yep, so in public, so just moving on to our CEO quarterly report.
Yeah, kia ora everyone. So just remember this is up to December, end of December reporting. And I think one of the things here in particular around enabling communities, we've tracked well ahead of budget, which I think given things that are happening around us, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's actually positive. And you'll see the breakdown there, particularly we had a target of 1.5 mil. We've just gone over that. And by December, we've been really frugal, to be fair, with any applications coming into the trust. So there's been a hell of a lot more declines than we ever have, I think, in the trust. A lot of it, though, is community groups cutting and pasting their applications from previous years. When we were very hard in the years leading up to say you need to be sustainable. Remember, sustainability is one of our key pillars. And they just, many of them are, they're just asking for us to cover their operational costs.
Can I ask a question about people coming your way, Doug? Is it sometimes an absolute firm no at the first meeting? You would say to someone, you just don't align with what we do, or are people taken on more of a journey? Because I would like both. I think if someone obviously don't align, you just need to stop wasting your time and their time. But some people you might see a small journey and it might still be a no at the end. I'm just interested, is there happening a bit of both?
It's a bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah. And so you can tell the ones that don't align straight away.
Yeah, and you tell them that.
No. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And for us, particularly around operational costs,
Yeah.
hey, we can't pay the rent or we can't pay for this.
Yeah.
Basically, you just told me your business is not sustainable. So we're pretty hard no when it comes to that. And a lot of it is existing big trusts or community groups that we have supported for a long, long time. And we've just had to say, look, we're happy to support you to change your model. I think one of the positives of that approach has been super greens. So we gave them a pretty hard no, middle of the year last year, because the schools and lunches stuff was sort of all falling out, and we just said, well, you were teach a man to fish model, and now you're just doing the fishing. Actually, if you went back to teaching people how to cook and teaching people how to grow their own food and preserve their own food, that's actually better. So they've actually gone, and to their credit, they have gone back and they've changed their whole model, and now they are sustainable again. So that's been a really good positive outcome of us being quite firm in our position. The ones that want to change have changed. The ones that don't want to change, well, they're falling over.
I think just sort of picking up on that example, we don't have a city mission per se, do we? We don't have a, if you're at the bottom of, at the end of the road, nowhere to go for food and that, do we have, because I thought Super Brands was that neat.
There's a lot of churches and super brands who MSD, if you get a food grant, they might, they do that work at the bottom. So super brands does a lot of that, but there are 3 or 4 other kitchens, if I can say, which are mostly church people who then help.
Because arguably not everything comes to is going to be financially endurable. So is it within the trust wheelhouse?
No.
To still support them.
A lot of them, so a lot of them are asking us.
With this community failure.
So a lot of them are asking us for the operational costs.
Yeah.
Which we're covered by, but they might have an MSD contract here, and the reliance on government funding. So the government funding's been turned off, and so now they're saying, "Oh, we want to carry on doing what we've been doing. We want you to pay for it." No.
Can I just throw something in here? We're still in an open meeting. According to all that we're having, we're starting to name drop and all the rest of it. So just wait for the close to have this conversation. Some of it anyway.
So I think it's just more.
It is tough, but we've got to be true to our parameters. And then where things are outside that are really good, give them the support to find the right avenue.
And so for us, that's why we keep coming back to the framework, what it tells us about sustainability, being enduring, making sure that we've got really strong relationships. And to be fair, we don't have enough money to help keep people afloat. It's not what we're here for. We're here to support well-being.
It'll never be enough anyway.
No, it'll never be enough, no matter how much money we had. So, so anyway, back to the original point, we are a little bit overspent. But we've worked really hard to actually, those that really align with He Rangi Tapuhi Tohu Ora in our framework, we've been able to support. Haven't been able to support to their full ask, and that's the majority of applications that have come through in the last 12 months. We've worked really hard to say, well, here's the things that we can support, and a little bit is better than nothing. The facilities.
Are you able to reference the page or just where you are to release?
So just under enabling communities on the first page, still on page 14, I think, of the pack. Just a quick update on the 7.9 mil. So you remember you approved Victor Hub in December, so we've accounted for that $6.6 million, 387,000 for Whakarua Park. I think we've got 828,000 for the Mare Kura Waka storage facility, and then 73,000 there for Poverty Bay security fencing. So that's what makes up that 7.9. So we have tracked over budget. I think the other one, remembering too, Vic Hub, there was quite a bit of contingency in that application, and the board, in particular trustees, made it really clear that we don't expect it to be fully spent. So we worked really hard not to utilise that contingency. So we've put in the larger inflated number, but we're probably tracking to budget for that.
Good to see some figures on the ground, turning up building and all that too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So just back to the enabling communities, the wellbeing survey. So that was a success this year. We did hit our target of over 1,000 completed surveys. Now that we have 3 years of data, we are considering, well, we are going to be doing more of a state of the nation type of report. They're not just sharing some of the trends and figures. Actually pull it together in a type of report where we can sort of make an analysis, say, hey, here's how things are tracking, and stand with a bit of confidence that we've got some really good data. Under Mahi Kaitiaki, which is page 15 of the pack, there's quite a few work streams. One that I do want to raise is we've contracted Sally Cameron, who's been doing a piece of work for us around how do we add value, particularly to the horticulture sector. It could be testing and piloting different ways, in terms of what's she working in a range on. There's a papaya proposal, for example, around how would we turn something into a product. So it would be the testing and piloting of that before you then pass it on to somebody else, a Kellingan innovation or even a private sector to scale it up. So it's just doing that testing like a food hub type of approach. So she's doing a piece of work for us at the moment that will come up with some findings. She's been engaging with much of the hort sector to gather their views. So one example is we're seeing a lot of fruit on the ground, particularly in the apple sector. Could we be picking up a lot of that fruit off the ground and actually processing it? Not just juicing, but is there other chemicals and other nutrients that we could be utilising? So this is the type of work that she's looking at, and whether a food hub type of approach could support everybody in the sector to then potentially scale up with the headget. So
Is she looking at the food hubs that other regions have put together?
yeah,
Manawatu is a big one, isn't it?
yeah, I'm not sure, but I think she's very well connected into that space.
Yeah, Shannon will be all over that too if she's connected with Shannon.
Yeah, she's Sally's probably one of our better people in terms of that food processing manufacturing. She's worked for Moana New Zealand and in the fisheries space for a long time. So looking forward to that. What's likely we'll bring let her present to the board next month just to share some of that work.
Yeah, it'd be great to have a Wānanga theme on that one day in the future.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
And so much potential here.
Yeah.
Has the issue of water ever made its way to the trust? For horticulture I'm talking.
Yep. So that's obvious. That's
Economic plan.
yeah, that's part of our Tairāwhiti economic plan.
Mm-hmm.
We're currently running an RFP to do some work around what the value uplift in region if our land blocks and flats had access to irrigation or to reticulated water. So
That's in process.
that's right now. So it's happening right now. So we're selecting a provider. If it's not tomorrow, it'll be by the end of the week to do that piece of work, and then we'll have that. What I expect the outcome of that work to say is, hey, irrigation is good. Here's the type of high value uses that could be used in the, from Muriwai all the way through to Tolaga Bay up in Ruatoria. If everyone had access to water, here's the value uplift or in the billions of dollars is what I'm expecting that to say. But we obviously need to ground truth that and have the right body of work to support that. So yes,
That's,
piece of work going on.
That'd be really within the regional infrastructure.
Yeah. So the whole point is to provide the right evidence and evidence base in which business cases then can utilise that report to say, hey, well, if there's this much uplift potential in the region, I want to go put in a storage scheme or whatever it might be. Which there's quite a bit of work happening around the region at the moment.
Anyway,
Yeah. So there are people that are interested. We've got potentially 3 or 4 different groups looking at different initiatives. I think the aquifer recharge is obviously one that's quite big on the agenda. We've got Leader Brand who are also in that. We have another one where out at Te Karaka, we're seeing them scaling up in terms of apple production and what that reticulated water system looks like. We also have one looking at flooding a piece of land which was always flooded out by the airport, and turning that into something. So there's a lot of work going on, but we need to, from a trust point of view, what we think is if we can create the right evidence base to help enable some of those initiatives to pitch for a regional investment fund or infrastructure fund. That's the way that we can help catalyse a lot of these ideas.
Yeah, and again, hopefully, whoever's successful copies what's been done in the other regions, because about 6 of them got funding for exactly this from the formally named fund.
Yeah.
With really well evidenced business cases and.
Yeah.
There's a hell of a case for going and borrowing other people's ideas.
Yeah.
And bringing them
You're
in.
saying we're duplicating work, you think?
Well, it's a small, a small pool of experts, so we could even find that whoever applies for RFP's done it before somewhere else.
So most of them have, so just, yeah, we've had half a dozen applicants or proposals. Most of them have led or done the work in those projects. And some of the feedback that we've had, even just yesterday, was that actually Tairāwhiti is quite unique. So we could look at the Timaroos of the world, in which a lot of these guys have experience, but or Northland, which, yeah. So on our panel to support our process is Irrigation New Zealand, who have been involved in most of those projects and providing their technical capability alongside myself, Richard, and a lot of the council staff. So we've got a bit of us working through that.
Yeah, I've got contacts with experts too if you ever need anyone and are struggling for names, but even people to help you assess the RFP.
Yeah. But making through the process, but yeah, it's going to carry on.
Yeah.
So we'll stay in touch with that. Fostering innovation, I think big one here is Callaghan Innovation and the CRIs and what's happening in that space. So we're staying pretty tight around what changes are happening, because a lot of the functions, whether it's RVP, the Callaghan Innovation work, which have been in our organisational KPIs, are now up in the air. We understand that, you know, when they make a decision like that, as you can expect, it's actually going to take a long time to unwind and shift some of these things around. And so we think some of those things will just be extended out for 6 to 12 months to then work through what the change actually looks like, and other things will just shift soon. So we're staying really, really close to that. Lastly, under enhancing our place, page 17, real big one here. I think cruise tourism strategy is completed and finished. It is pretty nice. I think you have seen a copy, but if not, we'll get some copies out to you all. That's part of our destination management plan and a real focus to get cruise tourism going. The other one under this one is city centre. So there's quite a lot of effort and work going in around city centre revitalisation. There is the work that we have contracted is coming to a pointy end in terms of sharing some of the top 3 ideas in which we can hopefully get the city centre moving. Keen to have a conversation with you, Rohit, because at the moment we've got a few people that we're presenting to, and then we've got an open session next week. Understand you and your executive team have been invited, so it's just should we have more in the room and the leadership, the early morning space before we then open up to the public. So we have that conversation. But what it's looking like in terms of low hanging fruit, we haven't got any big grand ideas. You know, the 10-year, here's what the city's going to look like. At the moment, what the findings are saying is that we just need some really good coordination in the city centre to sort of organise events and coordinate events at this right time, make sure people are actually working together. So there's quite a bit of evidence that's showing that we've just got disconnected CBD. And so we used to have the old Heart of Gisborne and the Chamber doing quite a lot of that work. So it's likely that that'll be the sort of low hanging fruit. Let's get some coordination going and then slowly build into other pieces of work.
Have you managed to bring in the young people's voice?
We've been having quite a lot of engagement with, we've had a number of different public sessions. I want to say that we have been engaging with different organisations who are engaging with the youth. But I can't hand on heart say whether they have or not. I can check on that.
It's pretty hard to be able to report back on that, to be honest, isn't it?
I thought that guy that presented to us, was it Means? Was he doing it?
Gorbis means.
Cobus,
I thought he referenced the fact that they've been talking to young people.
Yeah, I think they have. I just can't hand on heart say who was groups and
I remember
how many and those sorts of things.
talking about that.
Yeah. But apart from that, just quickly on our KPIs, you'll see that most things are tracking green, so that's really good. We've got our amber light there in terms of enabling others because we are tracking and overspent, but only just by a little bit. To counterbalance that, our managed portfolio has bounced back significantly and is looking good, so it's covering my butt. The one under Tairāwhiti is the one that's tracking red. We know that was the responsibility of Mr. Cunning, so that's not only part of it, but actually we also have the Tairāwhiti Māori Business Network, which is doing quite a lot of work in the region. And so there's an opportunity for us to try and come together with that all and work together.
I suppose what I'd like to see there for comments is when you've got something red, what's the action you're going to take?
Yeah, so the action is that we're going to give that KPI one last push. So really strong communication push in the next couple of weeks. And also this engagement with the Tairāwhiti Māori Business Network. So those are the two actions that we're taking to see if we can push that number. Remembering when we started, that number was 6. So the small effort that we put in already is growing that number from 6 to 61. We thought it was actually going to be quite an easy target to hit, to be fair, because it was just about people signing up. But I don't think we've been able to articulate well enough what the benefits of that network is. Because it's from a consumer point of view, it's a yellow pages, a digital yellow pages where you can look up different businesses. But on the actual business side of things, there's a whole lot of capability building and educational programs, cash flow workshops, those types of things that I don't think people are utilising. And we just haven't had a real champion in the organisation to drive that. So, like I say, one last push, work with the Māori Business Network and see where we come up with. But we're going to, the other piece of work that we're doing internally is we've got a mission to report internally around how we unlock the Māori economy. And so we're hoping, I've seen that work, it's looking pretty good. But in short, do we spend a lot of effort, for example, working with iwi entities who have around about $500 million worth of balance sheet, or do we actually focus on the incorporations, the Māori incorporations of the world who have quite a lot of land holdings and actually have quite a big economy, or is it a bit of both?
All right.
Yeah, but so where's the effort?
You come to my AGM on Saturday.
But of both, he didn't say a lot of both.
Yeah.
What you said before, tides, boats, but.
Right, lift all boats.
So anyway, we're doing a piece of work there that will help us inform what the next step looks like.
I think the measure you've got for next year looks really good too.
Yeah.
So even broadening it out can help.
Yeah, that's right.
Is cruise ships really green?
Yeah, it is. So that was, remember, that's to December. We had 3 ships cancelled. Actually, it's probably a good question, to be fair. We had 2 boats probably that would have taken about 3,000 passengers cancelled.
Because I think
that's quite a big hit.
The reason you have measures like this is that it highlights areas of volatility that you can plan for.
Yeah.
So if the cruise ship strategy or delivering on the cruise ship strategy is volatile to weather.
Yeah, that's right. So you would have seen that we've changed that measure for next year.
Yeah.
Exactly for that reason, because we can't control the weather, we can't control whether they can land or not. So we've changed our measure to things that we can control.
And to add to those points, generally, the idea in my mind, anyway, it's not to have everything green. Sounds bizarre, because the oranges and reds are opportunities for improvement, and you've got to flush them out all the time as well, you know.
Yeah,
The age-old one about KPIs, is it all budgets, do you make them, it's short-term incentives? Management making soft budgets so they achieve them.
Never done.
So that's what you're saying here.
I thought you were pointing at me saying that's what I've done.
No.
Never did that.
we have had a lot of cruise passengers land in January, quite a lot actually, so, and that figures needs to be updated. So we'll see what it's looking like, but whether it's 10,000 or not, it was just an indicator. We utilised
Isn't it
it.
more relative metric and probably can't assess it, but what's the value they get from their visit?
Yeah.
Is there any sort of
How much?
back on board where they can? Whatever.
Yeah, so
We went to Tairāwhiti, that was cool, that was dead boring.
yeah, so we're
So
doing a
that's
lot.
the bit that we can.
Yeah, that's right. So that informs our approach. So a lot of the ships do have surveys, for example, around whether they enjoyed that excursion or not. And so we've got a bit of a feedback loop that helps us to inform that.
But it depends what stage of the journey you're at or the strategy. And if you're at the stage where you're just trying to boost the numbers, then you're right to be measuring the numbers. And then when you're looking at value, then change the measure. So I think it's a good idea, but I can see why I might not have been able to go there quite yet.
Yeah. So anyway, numbers, you're exactly right. Numbers first, let's start building that, and then let's focus on quality, and what that spend looks like. So that's part of the pathway.
Get hold of credit card spend or something like that.
Yep, so that's why this year you'll see in the next agenda item around we are going to value tourism spend in the region. So hence that's the shift that we're making. We'll try and build something and then.
And you said before that there's activities that you want to develop that will increase the spend and the satisfaction, but you can't until you've got critical mass. So it's the journey.
Yeah, and so
Well,
there's
it's a bit of chicken and egg. I mean, if you're on a cruise and there isn't a range of products there that appeal to you, then you might get off for a wander and that's about it.
Yeah.
But a lot of those products are paid for on the boat, so you won't get the credit card details. So it's the casual spend around the place.
But also, John, I welcomed a 7-star ship here, far out. You will have to sell a kidney to go on there. 173 people on board. It is like a 7-star hotel, 2 helicopters on board, a submarine that they went to Antarctica. So they stopped here. I went in there and I was just like, far out. It is like next level. But those people want to hop off, grab a helicopter and go to Mount Ikurangi. They do not want to walk to Just Jeans and buy a sandwich. But then yesterday when I was in Wellington, and it was a fabulous day, you could see that there were 1 or 2 cruise ships. And it's just the sheer quantity of people walking around wanting to buy a singlet from Just Jeans. So it is also capturing both those markets, like the cycling and the steamship, and also what people really are after is a bit more cultural stuff. That is what puts us apart. And then I spoke to Ruatoria with Floss. You know, that's what people are after. Those people want to hop on a helicopter and go and do, and that's a total different market too. So we need to serve both at the end.
So that's why you're seeing the products. We know we're over delivering in that one, but it is about trying to develop as many products as we can so we have these really good offerings. Remember this cruise in particular, you're looking at a 3 to 4 year window.
Yes.
They've had a good experience this year, they're going to book you for the next 4 or 5 years, right? So it's quite a long horizon. Last thing from me, just around Māori business, you sort of segued into that. Remember, it was a 50% increase that we were looking at from last year's totals. We're now tracking at 90%. Just to give you the hard numbers, so the baseline number for 2020, 23, I think it was 40 businesses. Our target was 60 businesses. We're now tracking it. We've done supported 79 businesses. So, really doing really well. A lot of that is supporting the forestry companies, working with them alongside to sort of work them through. But apart from that,
different to the why is there a disconnect between Māori business and
so Whāraki is a platform, right? It's a tool on which you can get on. So we've been working hard.
Oh, it's not. Okay, so.
Yeah,
I
so you
I
can
thought
sign
it
up
was-
for it.
I thought it was where you go and any multi-business can go in and get full support, but that's the one.
Yeah.
There's an increase.
Yeah, so, Whānaki is like a national platform.
Oh, yeah.
And so businesses across the whole country, so we're saying, yeah, so we're trying to pass those through and say, hey, do you want to sign up for this? Some of them have, some of them haven't, so. But that's it.
Alright,
So,
because you did this thing where you go. Only because we're still in public as well.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a report that will be available to anybody online and everything else. So we've got time in the closed session for any of those, if you've got any more heavy questions, then right. Okay. Cool. So we'll just enter into the, we'll exclude the public. I'm gonna move around a second.
Move, second.
Ron and John. However you like it.
Yeah. I'm not fussed.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried.